Hey everyone, I'm Jared.
And I'm Chantel.
Welcome to the Poured Out Podcast. Okay, welcome back.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row, yeah. Almost, I was going to say new record, but we haven't been that bad.
No.
Yeah, so last week we ended with the question,
Yes.
what have you been working on this week?
That's right.
So we thought we should probably answer that question for ourselves for this past week. So
Yeah.
what have you been working on this week?
This week, I have been organizing a homeschool conference, online homeschool conference. Not very creative, like if we're talking about creativity, but that's what I've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there was really anything very creative in my week.
Yeah, there's still creativity involved.
Figuring things out. Something completely new for me, so.
Trying to think of a name.
Oh, I'm so bad at names. So bad at names.
It's like the hardest part of starting anything is trying to think of a name.
Yeah. I'm not very good at that. What have you been working on?
I was working on a website for said conference.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some creativity involved there, I guess. Yeah. Do you want to talk at all about, like, details?
The homeschool conference?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be online. I don't have a date yet. End of May sometime. I have a couple speakers lined up, still working on getting more. And that's really all I have right now to say about it.
Okay.
But it's coming together. It reminds me of back in the day when we would create the homeschool bundles. And there's like certain aspects of that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm getting that feel from this.
And what is the name of this homeschool?
Oh, Intentional Homeschooling Summit. Oh, like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like spent forever looking up names. I'm like, no, not even doing it. Just sticking with my homeschool website name.
We went with Summit. Instead of like conference or
convention. Yeah, like those sound, it's not the right vibe I'm going for, but I'm so bad at names. I'm glad we're done having kids and I don't have to think of names anymore.
Yeah. So I was working on setting that up.
Yeah. No, do you have more stuff that you were working on? Tell us.
I attempted to make like a logo for the podcast.
Oh yeah, right.
And
that was this morning.
I moved, made some changes, starting to set up a bit of a website for the podcast. Right. Previously it was pointing to our like podcast host thing, but making some changes behind the scenes. So that's still kind of work in progress. I'm not really sure what I'm all going to do there, but
that's cool.
Yeah. Do you have something else?
No, I just had something from last week that is not really about this. So if you're done telling us what you were working on.
Well, I have like 10 other things.
Tell us.
No, actually.
Oh, okay. Because we were talking about creativity and you were saying that you didn't think singing music really counted as creativity because you don't write your own songs. So I was Googling. Did you know that Elvis Presley did not write his own songs? Frank Sinatra, Celine Dion, big names, none of them really my style, but
I guess, yeah.
Would you say they're not creative? Like you still take it and you take your spin on it, like put your spin.
I guess.
Right?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I think even now, most popular artists don't, or a lot of them at least, don't write their own.
I was Googling it because Taylor Swift, that's the only person I ever hear people talk about. I don't listen to music. Apparently she writes 90% of her songs, or at least has part in it. I don't know how much of each song she writes, but apparently it's more of a thing now, and it used to not be a thing.
Where people would write their own songs?
Yeah. It used to be that you just would sing with someone else's song, and now it's more common for people to write their own.
Interesting.
That's what I learned.
I would have thought it would be the other way around for some reason. That it used to be people would write their own songs, and then it just became like a big industry thing where...
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's how I would think it would go. But
I was actually thinking on the music front around creativity, choosing songs and arranging them for like... So we did the music for a Good Friday service.
Mm-hmm. Not me, not
you.
me. You and your band.
And I do think there is some creativity involved in like arranging, because I when I pick songs, I try to do it in a way that flows, like the songs sort of flow from one to the next, and they match the part of the service where they're at and stuff. So I guess there's some creativity in that.
During the communion, you generally pick like a slower song with lyrics that are applicable. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And try to go like, usually the first song is a little more upbeat. The last song is usually a little more upbeat. So I don't know. That counts as creativity.
It does. I think so. It's not like the thing a person instantly thinks of when you think of the word being creative or creativity, but I think it totally counts for sure. So one of the things that I thought we could start on a like maybe regular basis here is sharing some kind of win for the week if we have one. I don't think every week's a winning week, but there was something that I was doing this week that felt revolutionary to me. It's so simple and it's not probably that big of a deal to other people, but I kind of wanted to share it.
Okay.
So you up for that?
Sure.
What I am doing is I'm using my tablet to reply to text messages, and I installed all the like millions of different apps that I use for messaging people.
Right.
Why there was not just like one streamlined one, I don't know. But
well, you have like people that want to have conversations on like 5 different platforms.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I just wish it was all on one. But I kind of am that person that I don't like to use my phone. Like I never write emails from my phone because I don't like typing on there. And so I have a tendency to leave text messages sometimes because it's going to be too long, which isn't really that long. But then I installed all the apps on here and I have a keyboard, and that's been a real win for my week.
So why is it better, or why?
Because I can actually type. I don't like I like a keyboard.
So are all of the, so I use WhatsApp on the computer, the web app, and I also do text messaging through the computer.
Yep.
So are there other ones that you use that don't have like a web browser based one, like way to message through the browser?
No, I've actually installed them all on the web browser as well, but I don't come down to my computer as often. So I've been having this out upstairs in the kitchen, so it's kind of like central.
Right.
But I also use Voxer, Google Chat, and Telegram, and I don't even know if that was all of them, but there's just a bunch more apps, and so I've found it to be helpful for me.
That makes sense. I feel like most of my messages happen during the workday when I'm at my computer, and it's easy to just like reply on the computer. But
yes, if I was sitting at my computer more, I would do that. But
I know sometimes you feel like you get a message and you want to respond to it, but you're like, oh, this is gonna be a long response, and
it's not like we have T9, like we're not sitting there hitting 3 buttons for each letter, but and there is someone that I know that still has that kind of phone. That's how she texts. But
it's dedication.
Yeah, I'm not up for that. I wanted to save me time, not take longer.
Interesting.
Yep.
So it's basically because you have a Bluetooth keyboard.
Yep. I wonder, I should just get the keyboard and hook it up to my phone. I used to be that person in university. I had a Palm Pilot.
That's right. Yeah.
With a foldable keyboard. This is before like smartphones were really much of a thing. And then had a BlackBerry with a physical keyboard. And I want to go back to that. Like actually having a keyboard with your phone.
I don't know. I think like the swipe text works so well right now.
It does.
But yeah, for like a longer message.
I don't know why I dislike using it.
I guess I'm almost always around a computer.
Yeah.
Like so if I have to write a long message, it's just easy enough to do that. If it's a short message, then swipe is good enough for me.
I've also found, since I put some of them on my tablet, there's some apps that it's not mandatory for me to read the message within 24 hours. So I don't want to get all these messages to my phone. Sometimes it's just people having a conversation, and I don't need to wait.
It's like a group chat that you're not
like
really.
a big group chat.
Yeah.
So then I just put them on my tablet, and then I can see the messages when I open this, and I don't need to see everything on my phone all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's my
cool
win for the week. And you don't have one? No wins? An unwinning week?
I mean, it was a good week, but I can't think of anything in particular that's like, ooh, I did this differently, or Yeah, so no win from me, I guess, this week.
I can't remember if I had another one. No, I don't think so. Okay.
Cool. So we wanted to talk about things that we quote often.
Yeah.
I don't know how this came up or how this became a topic we wanted to talk about.
Well, because I think quotes in our lives just come up frequently. And if we're going to be using them, I thought it'd be nice to have like set a baseline. Like, here's what we're quoting all the time.
But as soon as we thought about it,
we quoted nothing.
Then nothing came out. So now it's like, what do we actually? We're talking like quotes from like typically movies and shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But so I feel like there's lots of quotes that I remember, and I feel like we have used, or I do use, and I know you quote a lot from a particular movie. Sometimes to the extent where I don't even know all of the quotes, if they're from the movie or not. I just always assume if you're saying something that doesn't really make any sense.
Okay.
But you seem like it does. You seem to think that it does, then I assume it's from that movie.
So whenever I'm just talking gibberish, you're like, oh, she's probably not having a stroke. She's probably just quoting from this movie.
Probably, yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So far, I've been correct.
No strokes. Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know if I'm quoting from that movie. So do you want to start? Tell us some of the things that... Do you want to just start with one?
Okay.
These are in no particular order for me.
Okay. Oh, I don't even know where to start. Take luck.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Brian Regan.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if we need to give context for these, but...
Well, I think we should link the Brian Regan...
True. The clips.
Or the shows. I don't know what they're exactly from, because we just had them on CD. I listened to them in my car.
I'm sure there's clips of those on YouTube. Those are like his top, like, original, really funny ones.
Yeah. Funny, clean, or used to be clean comedian. I don't know.
Yeah, so Take Luck and You Too.
Yeah.
Are...
When you combine words, take care, good luck.
Take care of the luck that you might have. Good luck taking care of it. You want it, care for it.
Well, my first one was also a Brian Regan one.
Okay.
I guess forever.
Oh yeah. See, I totally forgot about that one.
Because whenever I don't know what it was, how it even started.
You're talking about getting older, and then something hurts, and you used to be like, oh, you know what, it hurts and you get better, and now something hurts and it's just like, well, I guess forever. Yeah. Yeah, that one comes up pretty frequently.
Yeah, I feel like we're feeling our age and our illnesses.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yes. Boxing. I like to say boxing sometimes.
Boxing of donuts?
Yeah. So instead
More
of
Brian
boxes, Regan. It's also Brian Regan. Yeah, boxing. Take a boxing of donuts. Yeah.
Do you use the word moosin'?
I don't say moose a lot, but box comes up sometimes in a conversation, and then I just can't help but think of boxing.
That's fair. My next one is favorite, but not as much. So sticking on the Brian Regan. I actually just used this with Reika the other day.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what I'm talking about, but it's got his snow cones. Grape and...
Cherry.
Favorite, but not as much. Yeah.
One's
not
favorite,
as much favorite.
They're both favorite, but one's favorite, but not as much. Yeah. These make no sense to anybody that hasn't listened to Brian Regan.
We'll give you some links and you can laugh.
Yeah. I think, so there's like a Parks and Rec one that I'm sure you have. It's the only one. Am I not doing it?
Oh, I forgot that one.
Really? That was like your favorite one.
I know. I knew I was going to forget some. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So Leslie's like sick. Oh, flu season.
Yeah.
That is such a good episode. That is like cry tears of laughter. Yes, she's sick and trying to do something.
She's like, I'm doing cartwheels, and she just doesn't even move.
She's just sitting there. Am I not doing it? Oh, yeah. No, my top Parks and Rec one that I thought of was, I didn't know what to do. I just moved. Oh, yes.
Another one that we quote a lot, but I totally forgot about.
Tom Haverford, his fridge broke, and he didn't know what to do, so he just moved. Yeah. And whenever something breaks in our house, we're like, we should just move.
I don't know how to fix it. Let's just move. Yeah.
Do you have another Parks and Rec one?
No, I don't. But
VIP, exclusive, high-end, snake juice.
See, when it comes down to it, I think they're just they just come out.
I know.
And so I don't even think about that they're like quotes from stuff. Yeah.
Whenever something's really good, we just start adding those words.
Apparently, yeah. VIP.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, one more. I have one more Parks and Rec. How could it not be longer? When Ben was working on his stop motion, it was like 12 seconds. I've definitely invested time into things before and thinking it's really good, and then you step away and it's like, oh no, that was bad.
Spent 3 days on this. Yeah, I know there was some from Parks and Rec, but I just totally
I can't believe I forgot am I not doing it? I use it all the time.
I have the same issue with Lord of the Rings. I feel like I quote stuff from Lord of the Rings all the time, but I don't know what I quote from it.
Yeah. I don't even know either. But you're always there. It's always a Lord of the Rings quote.
Yeah.
That I don't know. That's my
That's the one that you don't know that
So you don't have any from Lord of the Rings?
Potatoes.
Oh yeah. You use that one a lot.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay, so what are all of your like you've got mail quotes?
None.
But you quote it all the time.
No, I don't.
You do though.
Because you had mentioned you've got mail, and I was looking to see the top quotes, and I don't quote you've got mail.
I'm alone read.
But I don't say that.
You do.
Do I?
You do.
Oh.
I think you quoted the movie like sometime in the last week, but I don't know that movie, so I can't repeat the line.
My family, like me and my mom and my brother, will say like thank you, but not very often. Usually, I think you have started saying it more than us because you've caught on to that. I don't know.
I just thought that's how your family talked. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do you have then? If you don't have, you've got mail quotes, you're pretending that you don't quote it.
Merely a flesh wound. I started thinking about Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I'm not dead yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are two of the ones that I use from that.
Okay, so Home Alone.
Oh.
Did you think of Home Alone?
No, I didn't.
Easy on the Pepsi.
Oh, yes.
We use that one on
a particular child.
A particular child sometimes.
Yes, I forgot about that.
And the other child likes to use A, 2, and D.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. My next one was Senka, you dead man?
That's right.
After a child has fallen down the stairs all the time.
Good old Cool Runnings throwback, yeah. But I feel like I think our most quoted show is Corner Gas.
I didn't think of a single Corner Gas quote.
50-50?
Oh my goodness, that's the best. Okay.
Anytime there's like, oh, what are the odds of this? One of us will say 50-50.
Either
does or it doesn't.
Oh, that's with what are the odds of a riot happening in
Dog River?
50-50. Either it happens or it doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh yes, okay. So what are some other Corner Gas ones?
My favorite.
Yes, I know what it is.
It wasn't willy-nilly. It was at Crow's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Corner Gas is a funny Canadian show that I think most Americans haven't watched, and they're really missing out. Do you have any more quotes from Corner Gas?
No. I know there's lots of lines that I like from Corner Gas, I feel like, but not something that we quote. But
that was a quotable show.
Yeah. And it was I'm sure most Americans would have not seen it, but it is a pretty good representation of rural Saskatchewan reality.
Embarrassingly so.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
It is pretty funny.
I'd be curious to know if like rural Americans can relate to it as much.
Yeah.
Probably not as much, but if they can relate to it at all.
I would think there are probably some similarities with some like northern states.
Yeah, right.
Where, yeah.
Yep. That was a funny show. Man. Now I want to rewatch all these like episodes and shows.
Yeah. Did you have any other ones?
No, but it wasn't willy-nilly and was that all the same episode? Oh.
No, I think those are two different instances.
No,
they're both the police
yes.
in Dog River that have the best quotes.
Yes. But not really. I don't think so. don't they make Little Cows?
Oh yeah.
That's just a random from like an Adventures in Odyssey that we listened to years ago on a drive.
It still comes up.
It does come up
for some reason.
I don't even know how a person fits that into like a...
We don't talk about cows that often.
Yeah. I don't know. That's my only other one. Do you have more?
I feel like some happen in like seasons.
Right.
So like when we were watching Psych.
Oh, yeah.
There's like, did you hear about Pluto? And that's messed up, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard it both ways.
Oh, yeah, that's the good one.
Which I really like that one. Mm-hmm. But now it's been like years since we watched Psych. So, I mean, it's been years since we watched any of these shows really, but Psych was longer ago.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's more, but I feel like they're just so part of like our vocabulary at this point or whatever that I don't even think about them.
Yeah. And I'd be curious to hear what other people quote on a regular basis, if you can think of it. Because once you start thinking about it, I don't know, for me anyway, everything just flew out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I totally forgot some of this. That's good.
Yeah, I still think that you have some
you've
got mail quotes that
I'll do an update in the fall after I watch it again, because usually I watch it like September, October.
Yeah.
Bouquets of sharpened pencils, freshly sharpened pencils. I don't really use these lines.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
You're determined to be right.
Not determined to be right. I just am right.
Oh, okay. That's
I
what it is.
I don't hate losing. I just prefer winning and get furious if I lose or something.
Where's that from?
That's Parks and Rec.
Okay. Well, when we were talking about doing these quotes, then it kind of made me think of a book that I have reread recently.
Reread?
Yes. For the third time. Yep.
I was just making sure I get the amount of re's in there.
Reread. Was Gospel Fluency by Jeff Vanderstelt. Very good book. Both the other times I listened to it on audio, and he does a really good job narrating it. But this time I was reading it on like the ebook and highlighting all the things, and also recommend that way. But it was talking about gospel fluency, and I thought that kind of would relate really well to...
It fits with just like the stuff that easily comes out of your mouth, like these lines that you quote without even really thinking of anymore, right? And it's kind of like this, kind of a similar idea where you want the gospel to be so ingrained in you that it's very natural.
Yeah, you don't even notice when it's coming out because it's just, it just comes. Yes. Yeah,
so why are you reading it for the third time?
As part of the class I was taking through church, we read the first half again. I'm not sure if we have to read the second half at any point, but it was something that we talked about the last time we got together. And there's also a bunch of videos, I think, on the Gospel Fluency site as well, and some other resources.
Yeah, he's got like a whole resource around that. Yeah, it's been many years since I read it. I feel like I need to read it again now, but
definitely recommend it.
Yeah. So I don't know, do you want to give like a brief synopsis of the book? I feel like you remember it more than I do since you've read it 3 or 2.5 times now.
Well, the idea is just that we should be so ingrained in the scriptures and knowing about God and Jesus that it should just flow out of our mouths. Like we are fluent in English because we live in an English speaking place.
Right.
We should be fluent in the gospel because we're so immersed in it. And that's generally not how we are. So he helps us along and tries to teach us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're sort of immersed in it, but we're also sort of not, right? Like, yeah, we're maybe more immersed in Christian culture sometimes than in like the gospel.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm not sure, like, I think if you asked a lot of Christians what the gospel is, they might have a difficult time articulating what that is. And that's part of the whole premise of like, we need to know, like really know what the gospel is for it to actually be able to flow out of us in a natural way.
Yes. So do you want to share what the gospel is, or now I
have to drink.
Okay. Should I read this, or do you want to? I have
read
something. Well, in Gospel Fluency, which I will have a few quotes from here, he says, "The gospel is the good news of life, death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, who is King. The gospel saves and brings God's rule into our lives, his kingdom, in order to bring the good news of his power into the world. The gospel changes us from the inside out and spreads through our lives and lips to the world by his Spirit." Which I feel like did a better job than I could do explaining it off the cuff, but
yeah, that's a good explanation. I think.
Well, I think we should know how to explain it as well.
Yeah, and I think it's something that like you can have a 5-word explanation of the gospel, and you can have a page explanation of the gospel, right? And I think for a lot of people, it's just like Jesus dying for our sins. That's the gospel, and it's like it is, but it's more.
It's not complete.
Yeah, and I think it misses out on. So gospel means good news, right? And so that is really good news. But there's more to the story, right? And I think that's part of gospel fluency is like knowing the whole story of God and being able to communicate it, because the gospel isn't just good news for death, it's good news for life, and it's good news for like all of life.
I think it's interesting because we're recording this on Saturday. So right after Good Friday, before Easter Sunday. So right now we're in that, it's like
the waiting.
We're in the waiting period of like, is what Jesus said actually going to come true? Like he has died, but it's tomorrow. It's his resurrection that makes it truth, that backs what he's been saying through his whole ministry.
Yeah. But I think also for us to really understand the good news, we also have to understand the bad news, right? Like we have to have an understanding of the fall, of what sin is, and the depth of our own sin, because otherwise if we think that we're generally just good people and like we don't really need a savior then, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I mean, like the gospel is like can be a short explanation or it can be longer, but I think when we know the full story, it's easier to kind of like speak that into different areas of life, if that makes sense.
I understand what you're saying. So have you heard the quote, the saying that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around?
Yeah.
And do you think that applies when it comes to like the gospel as well? Like if you spend time around 5 people that are immersed in the gospel and have this gospel fluency, do you pick up on that as you go?
Oh, I would think so. Yeah. I mean, I think everything that we surround ourselves with is going to affect what comes out of us. Like even thinking of like the quotes that we know.
Yeah.
We only know them because we have watched this show in some cases many times. And so that it's ingrained in us kind of, right? And unless we are doing the same thing with the gospel and continually reminding ourselves of it, then it's not going to naturally flow out of us. It's just going to be this awkward thing that we feel like we're supposed to talk about, but we don't really know enough, so we don't feel confident or comfortable talking about it because we're not really sure what like the right way to say it is. And so and people around you too is going to massively make a difference in how you are able to communicate.
Yeah, I would say for us, especially like the last number of years, we've been more immersed in a gospel fluent culture than
where it's really a focus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot in order to be able to bring what you read into your everyday life, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. So, our church has been doing these kind of Grace 101 classes for, I don't know how many years now. I guess for quite a while, if you don't count the one specifically in our congregation. But I feel like that has really, it's been a good eye opener for a lot of people, even people that grew up in the church, to really see like what the gospel is, what the good news actually is. And it's surprising that even in people that grew up in the church, how uncommon it is in some ways for people to really understand that. Mm-hmm. But I can see it from myself as well, right? I feel like sometimes you grow up in a church tradition and you kind of assume a lot of things. You don't, right. unless you force yourself to, you just kind of don't, you kind of just go with the flow. It's very easy to go with the flow and just kind of fit in. And if it's not a very overtly, or very, not overtly, but like a intentionally gospel focused drive, then it's very easy to stray into other things and have that not become the main thing. And that's where people, I think we can very easily stray into just like moralism, where we're just, trying to do the right things and all that kind of stuff. But that's where it's like the gospel isn't just for salvation, it's for sanctification, right? Like it's for the whole process of us being changed to be like conformed into the person that God wants us to be, is also through the gospel. It's not through us just doing good works, even though good works are good.
So then how does this look in everyday life?
I think it's going to look different for different people, but I don't know. I mean, it's not something that I am an expert at.
I think, though, we've gotten better at listening to people when they're telling their story, either like a longer story or a shorter story, and looking for and maybe helping to bring out the gospel elements in their story.
Yeah, so instead of just trying to fix someone's problem on the surface level of like, well, you just need to stop doing this, or you need to start doing this.
Yeah, just try harder.
It kind of gets at the underlying issue, which is always going to be, that not believing the gospel, essentially, which is, not believing God is kind of the root of sin, really.
Mm-hmm. Believing in ourselves instead of in Him.
Yeah, or believing that something else is better than what He has.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I've been thinking about lately, especially after we had friends over the other day, is learning to tell our stories. And he was talking about how he was getting people to do that in this thing that he's in. And he was talking about how getting people to tell their story in 10 minutes or less with like visual prompts, or like,
right, yeah.
He mentioned the word drawing, which kind of like instantly I'm like, oh, I'm out. Can it be stick people? And I think this is something that I would like to do, because, when you get baptized, you write your testimony. But then you're often not really asked to share it that many more times after that in the normal everyday setting.
Yeah.
And we got baptized when we were 20. I like to think my life has changed quite a bit, and I've grown quite a bit in the nearly 20 years.
40.
I'm 60, you guys. I'm 60. 20 years since then. Almost 20. 17 years since then. And
17, 40, same thing.
It just is all a blur. And so feel like I need to relearn how to tell my story. And there are definitely key seasons where growth has occurred. And so I've been thinking about that lately, about how I should do this with either poor drawings or maybe no drawings and just written prompts on how to tell.
Just like some keywords kind of thing for each section or like part of the story, chapter of the story. That's what stories have, chapters.
Chapters, that's how that works.
Like words and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that would be a good exercise just to do like individually, and then also with a group of people.
Yeah, we should do that with our small group, actually.
Yeah, it would be good because like anything, it takes practice, right? Like I'm a naturally awkward person, especially it's not a good conversation. There's gotta be a word for that, but I feel like we'll just go with this because it proves my point. But just like anything, like the more you do something, the more natural it becomes. The more like you know these movies, the more you quote them. And so the more that you not only know the gospel, but practice telling your story with a gospel lens and sharing the gospel through like in how it has changed your life, and bringing the gospel into conversations about other people's struggles and stuff too. I think the more like it's probably gonna be awkward for a while because we're just not good at doing that, or like not practiced at doing that, right?
Yeah, it's not our natural or our first language. It's something you have to learn and work at.
But if we don't embrace the awkward, then it'll never improve, right?
Yep.
And that's like, I'm preaching to myself because I don't like awkwardness. I know some people like awkwardness.
Yes.
I don't.
No, me neither.
I very, very cringe.
I feel like really bad for people when they're all of a sudden things are getting really awkward.
Yeah. It's like, oh, stop. Stop, undo.
No. I just want to crawl under a rock sometimes.
But that's something that I need to get over in a few different areas, I think, and just need to get past that.
I would agree for myself.
And for me. You can be honest. It's okay. I know I'm awkward, so it's all good.
I actually don't think that. So you're the kind of guy that's on the quieter end. Sometimes when you talk, I'm like, whoa, I didn't know you knew all that. Like, I don't know.
I'm not sure should take that as a compliment or not.
I think I just talk too much at home and don't give you a chance. So this podcast is good. Did you have anything else to add here, or should we go on to our question that we're going to leave everybody with? I think we can move on. I guess one thing that I'll put in the put a link in the wherever I can put links in the description and show notes.
To the Good News Story.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
If you're like a little unsure about what the gospel is,
there's a really good video series. Yeah,
it's called The Good News Story. I think is it thegoodnewsstory.com or just goodnewsstory.com? Sorry, Clay. No, it's the
Good News Story.
thegoodnewsstory.com.
Okay, that will be in the show notes.
Yeah. So that's what we go through as a church with classes.
And that was all created by a number of different people in our church. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a really good overview of the good news. So
I think it would be something like, because I did this last year when I took that class, and now it's been over a year. I feel like I should go through it all.
Yeah, it's something that we always need reminders of the gospel, and I feel like it's one of those things, just like when you read the Bible. It's like every time you read something, you learn something else. You see something else that you never saw before. And I feel like this is the same way. There's so much good packed in there that you aren't going to get it all the first time. So anyway, I'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So it's not just going to be Brian Regan links.
And corner gas.
Some beneficial ones too.
Well, link gospel fluency.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, question then?
Yeah.
Our question for the week is something either you can answer, we would like to know, I would like to know, in the YouTube comments, or this is a question that you can ask people in your lives instead of just, how are you, the next time you see them. Our question is one that is dear to my heart. It is, what have you been reading recently? And you might be surprised at the conversations that can come up as a result of that question.
Yeah. Do you want to answer that question now, or do you want to answer it now?
No, let's answer it next time.
Okay.
Unless you want to answer it now.
Well, we could probably answer it both times. You'd be reading different things.
I might be reading the same thing, but I'll tell you what I'm reading right now. The main nonfiction book that I'm reading right now is Every Woman a Theologian by Felicia Masonheimer. Oh, it almost left me, but I got it.
Well, that's quite the name, so.
Yeah. It's very good. It's kind of like theology for dummies, but she just made it sound better. And you know, my issues with this, I hate when books say for women, because that instantly makes it seem like a man can't read it. But I think it's just a really good theology book for people that haven't been to Bible school, that just need an introduction. Mm-hmm. There's not really anything womanly about it other than it's written by a woman.
But it probably just is titled that.
They get more sales.
More women will pick it up.
Yep. Yeah. They would get more sales that way than just saying everyone a theologian, which I think is actually an R.C. Sproul book.
It could be.
But what are you reading?
Nonfiction, I just have one right now, The Dynamics of Spiritual Life by Richard Lovelace, I think.
You can link it, and then they'll have the exact one.
Yeah, it was a book that I don't know how it ended up on my book wish list.
Yeah.
But it did, and I asked for it, or I got it for Christmas, and finally am reading it. There was a few other ones that were on my stack first, but it's been really encouraging, and I have a hard time explaining why.
You seem very excited every time you read it. Yeah.
And it is weird. It's like, I'm pretty sure it was first published in like 79 or something. But yeah, it's been really encouraging, and I'm only like 100 pages in. So you'll be reading that next week? Probably. Sounds good. Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and comment what you're reading, and use that to draw out what other people are reading, and if they're reading anything. Mm-hmm. Maybe it'll spur them on to read something if they're not. Yeah. That's all I had. That's all I had as well. So thanks again for stopping by and listening to us ramble, and have a good week.